I rented the projection booth after last show. I didn't rent the projection booth to watch a film. I rented it because nothing lies under a beam that crosses a dark room and writes on a wall. The Rialto used to be a church. You can tell by the way the ceiling still wants to bless you even when the movie doesn't. The lobby keeps its velvet rope like a memory of order. The carpet knows you by sound. And the projection booth, a concrete balcony bolted into the past, smells like hot dust and burned sugar. If you give Casey, the night projectionist, a decent tip and a good reason, he'll let you have the booth after the last show. The rule he repeats without smiling is the only one that works after midnight. No trials after 2. I brought cash and the version of myself that still believed rules could save a life. At 11:42 p.m. my phone coughed up the sentence the honest use when they need to be believed by the tired. Rap party turned into a rough-cut review, might crash at the office. Don't wait up. My wife makes rooms feel like home and budgets feel like mercy. She arranges cameras and donors and volunteers so nobody has to realize how many mistakes they made before the light found them. Tonight's rap was for the community film we'd been raising money for all winter. The one man I didn't want to name had a job title like a dare, operations lead, and a tote with gaffer and a habit of standing one respectful step from married women as if consent were a map. He can thread a rig and a conversation without dropping either. That kind of competence makes board next vote. Casey turned the key and let me into the booth. He likes to keep the lamphouses humming as long as the light wants company. He set a short reel on the platter test leader, some silent footage of downtown from the 50s, a trailer for a film that never got made. "You've got 20 minutes before the janitor wants to practice forgiveness," he said. "If you need the motor slower, ask gently. She takes it personally." He squinted at my face the way men who work machines read people. "No trials after 2, he added, as ritual. Then he left to pretend the lobby plants were a security problem. The booth has 2 portholes, little glass circles aimed at the screen like patient eyes. Through one I could see the empty auditorium, rows of red seats facing a rectangle of polite gray. Through the other I could watch the lobby, where the chandeliers hate being outdone by anyone's story. I fed the leader, felt the motor catch, and listened to the light carve the room in half. Dust swam. The trailer announced a romance no one had earned. The elevator at the end of the hall shivered and brought me what I had rented the room for. Nora stepped into the lobby with a paper crown cocked wrong in her hair and a mouth arranging the sentence she hadn't decided on. Beside her, of course, Miles with the tote, the sleeves, the competence. He saw me through the porthole first. Men who carry after midnight get good at noticing who else stayed on purpose. He lifted 2 fingers in a peaceable salute. It wasn't an apology. It was a statement of location. Nora followed his glance, met my face in the glass, and for a second forgot to arrange hers. Then she smiled with the precision of a woman who knows what a lobby requires and took a breath like a choice. "Do you want me to vanish?" Miles asked her. I saw it in the tilt of his head, in the tote slipped closer to his shoe. "I want you to put the tote down and not be a witness," she said. "That's what I want." He obeyed in the way men do who intend to be allowed back into other people's stories without staining them. He set the tote by the poster case, pressed the elevator button with his knuckle, and kept his eyes on the nowhere between carpet and brass. When the doors opened, he stepped in and let the lobby close its throat without drama. Nora climbed the stairs to the booth. She didn't rush. The old steps like to audition for the part of consequence. When she came in, the gate light colored her collarbones. The lamphhouse hummed the note it uses when it recognizes a reason to behave. "You booked light," she said softly. "I booked a room that doesn't know how to pander," I said. and a man who remembers how to be honest with a beam. She stood by the bench, the one with the stack of reels nobody labels because everyone pretends they're obvious. She looked at my hands the way she does when she needs me to pick either righteousness or courage and not whittle myself into both. "Did you kiss him?" I asked. It came out like I meant to live through the answer and not like I was auditioning for a different marriage. "In an elevator," she said, "2 weeks ago, between floors and scents. It was quick and tasted like mint and rehearsal. He stepped back and said my name like a lock. I hated him for being correct. I hated me for finding relief inside hate." She looked through the porthole at the empty seats and shook her head at herself. "Tonight I almost followed that elevator. I didn't. I came here." "I wanted to hit him," I said. I said it to the Lamfhouse. It has heard worse confessions between reels. "You wanted to hit the part of me that forgot to invite you," she said. "I can hit that part. Your hands have other work." We stood in the light that isn't for faces. Casey's footage of the city drifted onto the screen, women in gloves on a streetcar, a man selling newspapers in a hat that believed in itself, trucks with the same names as families. The booth warmed my back like a small furnace too proud to misbehave in front of a guest. Nora reached, lifted the leader away from the sprockets with 2 fingers, slowed the motor with her palm, and let the room believe in silence for a second. "Invite me when you're interesting," I said. "Not just when you're frightened you'll be easier to love in other lighting." "I am inviting you," she said. "I'm tired of telling a story to a lens that doesn't know my name." I kissed her. The beam crossed us and wrote our outlines on the glass. Her mouth opened with the speed of recognition and the pace of mercy. I put my hand at the back of her neck and pressed my thumb into the soft notch I've kept for emergencies since the apartment with the mattress that called itself a bed. She leaned against the rack of unlabeled reels, and the booth forgave us the way machines forgive people who don't pretend to be saints. I slid my palm under the line of her dress until the elastic tapped my wrist, and I stopped because rooms and neighbors, and the kind of life we intended to continue. "Do you still want to hit him?" she asked, voice low enough to respect a beam. "I want to thank him for stepping back," I said, "and I want to owe him nothing else." "That's a budget we can afford," she said. We sat on the bench and watched the city that thought it was eternal forget its arguments for 90 silent seconds. Nora told me the truth I didn't earn, and she didn't owe. The kiss had been curiosity dressed as courage. The stopping had been the only part that didn't embarrass her in daylight. The almost tonight had felt like watching a door recruit her heartbeat against its will. I told her the truth about the night I took a hotel key out of the dishwasher, someone else's, and put it in a drawer labeled museum because I wanted a story more than I wanted a life. She laughed the laugh married people keep for when they refuse to be charming for each other. The trailer for the film that never got made ended with a promise it could not possibly keep. Casey would have liked that. The elevator brought the janitor and the mop and the end of our rented courage. We turned the motor off. The beam surrendered the room. The dust fell out of its idea of forever. We went down the stairs and thanked Casey with cash and silence. He took both with the ease of a man who keeps theaters from confessing to the wrong people. At 9 the next morning we were at the community center, where gravity pretends to remember its manners. Miles was there before us, lifting tables with that exact mix of modesty and inevitability that makes good volunteers think the day invented itself. He saw me and nodded once like a man who intends to continue being invited. I nodded back in the language of people who have graduated from trials to chores. Nora moved through the room with a clipboard and a mouth that teaches busy people how to breathe. When she passed, she touched my wrist with 2 fingers, daylight legal, and the morning did what we asked it. We spent the day convincing a room to become a screen for the community that had paid for it. When a knot refused to be line, Miles held the free end and I pulled, and Nora taught us all the word please again. The donors came to practice generosity with cameras. We gave them competence and put their names where they would do the least harm. We didn't tell anyone about the booth. We taped one of the strips to the side of our fridge under the magnet shaped like a boat we bought one summer we didn't ruin. It's the one where my eyes are open in frame 4, and hers are laughing at the evidence she chose. Sometimes the house tries to audition for courtroom. When it does, we drive to the Rialto and buy 2 tickets to something we won't remember. We stand in the lobby and wait for the light to cross the room and make us honest. Sometimes she texts come and means stand beside me while I interest the world. Sometimes I text come and mean watch me be a body before I become a plan. Sometimes we let Casey run that trailer for the film that failed, and we hold hands with the kind of loyalty that forgives ambition for never being enough. We didn't stop admiring other people's competence. We did stop confusing it with permission. Heat is a temperature, not a verdict. We eat before we try to win. We sleep when the clock loses its manners. We put our hands on each other in daylight as if the sun still issues licenses. And when the city asks whether we have anything to add, we say this: rent a room where beams outvote gossip. Keep the reel turning only as long as your names do not humiliate you. And if a night turns you into a playwright, find a projectionist who knows when to dim the motor and let the dust practice survival while you remember what your mouth was for long before it learned apology.